No matter if I'm watching TV or going to the movies, it's starting to feel like the multiverse is everywhere. But, what is the multiverse, and what exactly lies in it? In order to answer those burning questions, I decided to play through the new game, What Lies in the Multiverse. What I discovered was a stylish throwback game with an unpredictable story and some devilishly clever writing. Join me as I reveal why this brand new side-scroller is not only a great game, but why it's one of the best puzzle platformers since Braid. This is the story of a bright young boy who has somehow cracked the code of the multiverse on his computer. That's exciting, but it comes with a larger-than-life surprise guest. His name is Everett, and he's a tall, gray-haired magician with a comically large top hat and purple suit. He reveals that he's been jumping through dimensions and exploring the multiverse, something that immediately intrigues the young boy. Not wanting to be left out, the kid begs to tag along, arguing that he could be a useful assistant. Everett accepts, and a brand new friendship is formed. What the kid doesn't realize is that his new bestie has quite a colorful backstory. The first sign of trouble is a dimension-hopping gang of multiverse police officers who seem to be dead set on arresting Everett and taking back his mysterious walking stick. There's also all this talk about his former assistant who hasn't been heard from in years, something that's clearly affected everybody in Everett's orbit. It won't take long before you realize that this fun and exciting joyride through the multiverse may be fueled by something much darker and more sinister than the kid could ever have imagined. But hey, he's come this far, so they might as well see what happens next, right? When he's not trying to make sense of what's going on, the boy will spend most of his time solving a lot of clever platforming puzzles. For as narrative-driven as What Lies in the Multiverse is, you can't forget that this is primarily a side-scrolling puzzle game. The gimmick here is that the kid is able to effortlessly switch between the normal version and an alternate version that is drastically different. For example, the world that you're standing in may look green and inviting, but one press of that button will turn the lush environment dark and rainy. This is good for a number of reasons, starting with the simple fact that the level layouts are slightly different. A bridge or wall might be there in one reality and then have disappeared in the alternate dimension. Do you need to steal the keys from that scary guy in the bar? Well, don't even worry about it, because he's dead in the multiverse. Just pocket his keys without the living one ever even finding out. Those are the types of hijinks and puzzles you can get into by jumping between the different dimensions. What's great about this game is that the unpredictability is built in right from the very start. You never really know where you're going to be from one chapter to the next, and there's a fun added surprise by also seeing the alternate versions. In one part of the game, you'll snap into an icy world where you slip and slide around. Another stage will have you climbing up vines. Well, yet another is so poisonous that it'll kill you after just a couple of seconds. One of my favorite chapters will literally flip the gravity, having you push boxes and solve puzzles while standing on the ceiling. And just when you start to get sick of that world, you'll be whisked off to something completely different. Look, obviously this is not the only 2D platformer with this type of puzzle structure. We've seen this sort of approach done since Braid in 2008, probably well before that. But while that aspect might not be original, What Lies in the Multiverse does it better than most. A lot of it has to do with the strong variety of puzzles and the unpredictability of each level. The game also does a good job of incorporating fun items and obstacles. The puzzles are bite-sized and never too challenging, to the point where I never had to resort to the dreaded trial-and-error guesswork. Couple that with the speedy pacing, and you have a puzzle platformer that is confident and always in control. Now, one of the reasons why this works so well is because the story is front and center throughout every level. They don't save it for cinemas or special moments, because a conversation can break out mid-puzzle. Sometimes it's the kid talking to Everett, but just as likely it'll be the multiverse police officers revealing their plans. But look, no matter who it is, every single person in this game is given a personality and believable motive. I mean, we begin to realize that one of the cops has crippling anxiety, while another is hot-headed to the point of being a danger to his entire crew. There comes a point in What Lies in the Multiverse where you realize that we're not going to sweep the ramifications under the bed. Most other games would have used this cool setup to toss us into a bunch of puzzles and then forget about the story or consequences. This is a game that's all about the consequences. It's also about grief and how to cope with loss in a chaotic world. The game isn't afraid to go in some dark and troubling directions, which surprised me given how upbeat and silly things are from the very start. Behind the jokes and the gags is genuine sadness, something that the characters spend a lot of time addressing in the 7-hour adventure. But don't get the wrong impression, because What Lies in the Multiverse is also one of the funniest games I've played in a long time. The dialogue is snappy in a way that you normally don't see in a video game, and there's an energy here that's infectious. The game is always ready to zig when you're expecting it to zag, and then we'll even point out what it's doing just to subvert your expectations even more. There's some genuinely clever moments here that had me howling with laughter, including a few run-on jokes that pay off in spectacular fashion. This game is a masterclass in how to write memorable dialogue that'll stick with players long after the adventure ends. And folks, let's talk about that ending. Don't worry, I'm not going to spoil anything. But I will say that What Lies in the Multiverse has one of my favorite endings of all time. This is one of the few games that drags the conclusion out over multiple chapters, giving players the answers and resolutions that they've been searching for. We're shown things that completely reframe the rest of the adventure to the point where I immediately wanted to replay the entire game and experience it all over again with this new set of eyes. I can't wait to finally be able to talk to other people who've beaten it. Now look, if it sounds like I'm having a hard time coming up with anything bad to say, then, well, it's because I am. I mean, I've played a lot of puzzle platformers in my day, and I didn't go into this game expecting to fall in love. And yet, that's the best way to describe it. I love What Lies in the Multiverse. I love the stunning pixel graphics and the expressive animation. I love the weird lands that we visit, as well as their alternate dimensions. I love the colorful cast of characters, even the ones that I hated at first. I'm telling you, I love it all. Well, okay, maybe I wish that the boy was a little more agile, and I kinda hate how fragile those boxes are. But I'm telling you, I love everything else. And I have a hunch that you're gonna love it too. A young boy and a gray-haired magician go on an epic adventure through the multiverse of madness. No, I'm not talking about Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, but rather an incredible new platformer called What Lies in the Multiverse. With a stylish throwback look and some of the wittiest writing ever seen in a side-scrolling puzzle game, this unpredictable and surprisingly emotional joyride through dimensions is one of the best games of the year. It's an absolute triumph of a game in every single one of the multiverses. Hey, thanks for watching our review. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post new reviews and features almost every day. Now, here's the question I have for you. What is your favorite puzzle platformer? Look, I know that Braid left a huge impact, but there are just so many good ones out there to name. They don't even have to be 2D. I'll accept 3D. I can't wait to see your picks in the comments below. In other news, we'll be back tomorrow with a review of Pretty Girls Breakers, which is not as bad as it sounds. Also be on the lookout for reviews of Wing Breakers, Splash Cars, Phantom Breakers, Omnia, Will You Snail, and more. If that sounds good to you, then I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then,